In Melee, there are a handful of aerials that stand out above the rest. Most of these aerials are straightforward in terms of what makes them good in competitive play. Fox's Drill, on the other hand, is an unbelievably complex move that rewards those who know how to tap into its potential. Fox's Drill is inherently unique for several reasons. The move consists of 7 set knockback hits which send the opponent at a downward trajectory. This makes Fox's Drill unlike any other aerial in the game in that it can be used to approach opponents at low percent without having to worry about ASDI down. However, there are many more uses for Fox's Drill than this, and plenty of them aren't as well known. This video will cover all of the best kept secrets behind Fox's Drill so that you can make the most of this move. The first thing to go over when it comes to Fox's Drill is frame advantage. After Fox's landing lag frames resolve, it's possible for Fox to have between 5 and 8 frames of advantage over his opponent. The opponent's weight stat is what determines which category they fall under. For example, Captain Falcon is in the heaviest category, and so Fox can only have up to 5 frames of advantage against him. Jigglypuff, on the other hand, is incredibly light, and so Fox can have up to 8 frames of advantage against her. The next topic to go over is Fox's frame data on his quickest attacks. These are the ones you'll generally want to follow up his drill with. Shine is, of course, Fox's fastest option, but there's plenty of reason to choose from other options. Dash JC Shine or Turnaround Up Tilt, for example, are good choices if you need to close the gap between you and your opponent. Grab is good for similar reasons, as well as the fact that it beats Shield. I've found that you generally don't want to pick options that are slower than Grab, and so I've only listed the options that come out on frame 7 or earlier. Next, it's just as important to know what your opponent's quickest options are. The option you should be most fearful of is Shine itself, since it not only comes out on frame 1, but also beats ASDI down. However, there are other options worth listing as well. Options such as Jab and Peach's Down Smash are ones you can expect to see after drilling your opponent. The catch, though, is that these options aren't very threatening if you option select ASDI down or ASDI down tech to protect yourself. Outside of Fox and Falco's Shine, the main option to worry about is Grab, which comes out on frame 7. Other than that, it's important to know that your opponent's escape options are to spot dodge on frame 2 or roll on frame 5. Although spot dodge comes out quickly, you generally don't need to worry about it unless your opponent is playing Fox or Falco. This is because if any other character spot dodges, you can usually just shine them to protect yourself before they can hit you with anything. As for roll, this option takes a frame longer than usual to come out because there's no way to roll from neutral without shielding for a frame first. The fact that both spot dodge and roll are weak escape options from this position is largely what makes Drill Grab so strong against most characters. Even if Drill Grab doesn't true combo, it can still beat options like roll by catching the opponent out of their startup frames. The next subject to go over is when to time your drill. In my opinion, this is the most important secret when it comes to drill because it's the key to maximizing your frame advantage. In order to receive the best possible frame advantage that I showed you in the last chapter, you'll have to drill your opponent on the exact frame before you land. This is because it's ideal for Fox to transition directly into landing lag without spending any time airborne, as time spent airborne can be considered wasted frames. The secret to aligning drill such that it hits on the frame before Fox lands is to input drill on frame 2 of your short hop. As you can see, this causes drill to align just as you'd want it to, assuming you fastfall frame perfectly. Compared to a frame 2 drill, the frame advantage on a frame 1 drill is 2 frames worse. This is actually due to the fact that when you perform an aerial on the first airborne frame, you become able to fastfall a frame earlier, which happens to cause your drill to align unfavorably in this case. A frame 3 drill, on the other hand, has the normal fastfall timing, but ends up being 2 frames worse than a frame 2 drill as well in terms of frame advantage. Despite the fact that a frame 1 drill and a frame 3 drill are both 2 frames worse than a frame 2 drill on paper, the difference is more than that in practice. This is due to the way the frame data on these drill timings align relative to a frame 2 drill. When you frame 2 drill, you'll want to act on frame 34 as this chart shows. When you frame 1 drill, you'll want to act on frame 30. However, because the game plan for a frame 2 drill involves acting on frame 34, you'll end up waiting 4 more frames than you should whenever you frame 1 drill. On top of that, a frame 1 drill suffers from having 2 airborne frames before Fox lands. This means that a frame 1 drill is 6 frames worse than a frame 2 drill in practice. The same concepts apply to a frame 3 drill. However, this time you'll want to act on frame 32, which is 2 frames earlier than you'd act after a frame 2 drill. This means that a frame 3 drill is 4 frames worse than a frame 2 drill in practice, which is better than a frame 1 drill. The next step is knowing how to make the most of the game plan I just described. According to this game plan, a frame 2 drill is the best option, and a frame 3 drill is the second best option. The way to play to this game plan is to time your drill input for between frame 2 and 3, but closer to frame 2. The idea here is that polling will determine which of the 2 options you'll receive, but most of the time you'll receive a frame 2 drill. With enough practice, you'll be able to eliminate the possibility of a frame 1 drill completely, which is for the best. There are plenty of situations in Melee where timing your input for between frames is the best strategy for similar reasons, and so I recommend experimenting with it. That brings me to the last part of this chapter, which has to do with the frame advantage chart I originally showed you. This is the frame advantage Fox will have if he times his drill for frame 2. If drill falls on frame 3, then we can subtract 4 frames of advantage for the reasons we just went over. Fox still has at least 1 frame of advantage against all characters when this happens, which is great because it means he can still true combo shine and win situations like drill grab versus grab. However, there's one more outcome that's worth mentioning because it'll come up very often. This outcome has to do with the opponent SDIing or ASDIing such that they evade the final hit of your drill. When this happens, Fox will lose another 3 frames of advantage. If we go back to the charts I just showed you, Fox still has advantage against all characters when this happens to his frame 2 drill, but he'll lose his advantage against most characters if this happens to his frame 3 drill. This means that a frame 2 drill is great regardless, but a frame 3 drill generally needs to connect its last hit in order to be useful. The next trick to go over is how to beat Shieldgrab with drill. This is one of the most useful things to know how to do. For starters, your drill will need to be unstale in order for it to beat Shieldgrab. This is because drill consists of an inner hitbox and an outer hitbox which are capable of dealing 3% and 2% respectively. To beat Shieldgrab, you'll need to hit your opponent with a drill that deals 3%, which means you'll need to hit them with an unstale inner hitbox specifically. From there, you'll also need to hit them on the exact frame before you land. If you follow all 3 of these steps, then Shine will come out on the exact frame as Shieldgrab and win. For clarity, the 3 steps you need to follow are having an unstale drill, hitting with the inner hitbox, and hitting on the exact frame before you land, which means you'll need to drill on frame 2. From there, the frame data will line up such that you're -6 and able to shine on the same frame as your opponent's Shieldgrab. Another important trick is knowing how to beat crouch cancel with drill. Crouch cancel is significant because it'll reduce your opponent's knockback, which means they'll spend less time in hit stun. Crouch cancel happens to shave off so much of drill's hit stun that Fox will end up being frame negative against every character that isn't Jigglypuff. As you can see, Fox is -1 or -2 at best versus all the other characters. To beat crouch cancel, you'll have to hit your opponent with 2 or more drill hits. What happens here is the first hit of drill breaks the opponent's crouch cancel, and then the later ones apply hit stun as normal. The point is to make sure you never hit someone in crouch with only 1 drill hit, as the interaction can end badly if you make this mistake. Finally, the last chapter of this video involves jab resetting with drill. This is another one of the best uses for drill, but it won't work against certain characters unless you know what to do. The characters who will always be jab reset by drill are Fox, Falco, Captain Falcon, and Sheik. This has to do with the fact that these characters have high gravity stats, which cause them to reach the floor and get jab reset no matter how you drill them. However, against the other characters on this list, you'll have to follow specific steps in order for the jab reset to work. If you try to jab reset the characters I just listed with drill, you'll find that sometimes the jab reset works and other times it doesn't. This has to do with the fact that when your opponent takes the initial 26 frame knockdown, certain frames are considered grounded while others are considered airborne. To jab reset the opponent during a grounded knockdown frame, you'll have to hit them with an even number of drill hits, whereas you'll have to hit them with an odd number of drill hits to jab reset them from an airborne frame. I recommend aiming for the opponent's airborne frame since this gives you the most generous window. To show you the drill jab reset in action, here's a clip of Fox hitting Peach out of her airborne frames with 3 drill hits. The first drill hit spikes Peach into the ground, the second hit then bounces her back up, and the third hit spikes her back into the ground so that the jab reset works. To recap this video, Fox's drill allows him to gain between 5 and 8 frames of advantage over his opponent depending on their weight. The best way to maximize this advantage is to drill between frame 2 and 3, but closer to frame 2, as frame 2 is the ideal drill timing. However, if your drill ends up taking place on frame 3, then you'll still be at least +1 over your opponent even if you use the input timings that would follow a frame 2 drill. Next, it's important to know how to beat Shieldgrab with drill. This is done by hitting your opponent with the inner hitbox of an unstale drill on the exact frame before you land. Shine will then come out on the same frame as Shieldgrab and win. Next, beating crouch cancel with drill is simple. Just make sure to hit your opponent with 2 or more drill hits so that the first one breaks their crouch cancel. Finally, to jab reset the low gravity characters with drill, you'll want to hit them with an odd number of drill hits toward the middle of their 26 frame knockdown. As for high gravity characters, you can hit them with any number of drill hits during any part of their knockdown, and the jab reset will work. All in all, Fox's drill is not only one of the most complex, but also one of the best moves in Melee. Implementing the strategies I've shown you in this video will surely help you take your usage of this move to the next level. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you found the contents of this video helpful. Also, don't forget to check out the 1.03 memory card that Altimore and I are currently working on. 1.03 will provide the definitive Melee experience between its up-to-date interface and special features that are still in development. Pre-orders are available at box.com for $9.99 and will ship in time for Melee's 20th anniversary.